The 18th green at the Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you think about the possibilities of what we could see here when the season's final major comes to an end. A lot of experts believe Rory McIlroy will win at this course for a third time. Perhaps Hideki Matsuyama continues to steamroll the competition the way he did at Firestone last weekend. Or maybe we will see history made. Maybe Jordan Spieth will run the final leg, the Green Mile, and finish the career Grand Slam.
Jordan Spieth has won the first 2 majors of the year. Performances.
Jordan Spieth, the Open champion, with one of the most stunning performances we've ever seen to win the Claret Jug.
What Jordan Spieth did at Royal Birkdale last month, that was the stuff of legend.
By Jordan Spieth.
A young hero with a touch of modesty, vulnerable, occasionally even lost.
I could actually go into there.
And then, just when it all seems hopeless, not just finding a way out,
Walks off with a 5.
but charging home in the most thrilling way imaginable.
It's on a good line. It's on a great line. It's right at it.
Yes. And that's the most fired up we've seen Jordan Spieth in a while.
The audience talking about it for days.
It's just hard to believe.
Now, he's one big step from joining the game's giants.
The Grand Slam.
Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods. The only men to have won all 4 majors in their careers.
The U.S. Open, the British Open, the Masters, and the PGA.
The only one Jordan Spieth needs. This, the PGA Championship.
It's a life goal of mine.
Masters champion.
It's an Open champion.
U.S. Open winner.
Win here, win now. And he would be the youngest to ever complete that career Grand Slam. That would be the stuff of immortality.
Golf Central proudly presents live from the PGA Championship. Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Jordan Spieth set to get after a chance to make the 99th PGA Championship, one for the ages. 8:25 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. At Birkdale, he became the 17th player to win at least 3 legs of that Grand Slam. Now he'll try to become the 6th to grab all 4. Quail Hollow, familiar venue, longtime host of a PGA Tour event, highly regarded. It's pure, softer fairways because of the range. The greens, though, are firm. Jordan's played here just once. Back in 2013, he was tied for 32nd as a 19-year-old, and that was before his first win at the John Deere. And hello again, and welcome. Rich Lerner, pleased as always to be alongside the crew. Brandel Chambly, Frank Nobilo, and David Duval. And Brandel, I'll start with you. It is really nice to be able to chronicle young athletes doing special things.
Well, we all know you're talking about Jordan Spieth, and we're going to spend a lot of the show tonight talking about the things that Jordan Spieth has done, how he did it, and what he's on the cusp of doing. But Rory McIlroy voiced a piece that's going to air in the show tonight. It is one of the most heartwarming, gut-wrenching pieces that you'll ever see that speaks to the power of a family's faith, the healing power of golf, and the impact that a thoughtful, unselfish superstar by the name of Rory McIlroy can make. And David, yes, we're going to spend a lot of time talking in the future and tonight about Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy.
We are, and obviously a big story is Jordan Spieth this week. But just 3 short years ago after the Open, we were talking about another player, Rory McIlroy. And it's hard to imagine only 3 years later that we've changed from Rory McIlroy to Jordan Spieth as they play chasing the career Grand Slam. how things have changed with this generation, how this young group of players is really affecting the game, life, other people around them, how they comport themselves and take care of all kinds of things. We got to spend time with Daniel Berger, just a great example of these young players. What you're seeing is what you're getting, folks, and it's fun to get to talk about them.
It is, but in the process of going from Roy to Jordan, you're skipping over a few players. You're skipping over Matsuyama. You're skipping over John Rahm. You're skipping over Brooks Koepka. And you've got to remember, Day was world #1 for more than a year. And it's also Dustin time, right? He's still at the top. So you're absolutely right. Golf is, well, it's at a crazy spot. It's sort of that rockety place, and I think this week will be another one of those.
Jordan Spieth is chasing the Slam. He's looking to join this famous five, and you know these names. And no player has completed the career Grand Slam by winning the PGA Championship, and Jordan could do it in his 20th start in a professional major. Tiger did it in his 21st start, fewest amount of majors to reach the Slam. This was Jordan in 15 at 21, just a few months older than Tiger when he won the Masters in 97. He did match Tiger's 18 under par scoring record. 2 months later, Chambers Bay, Spieth outlasted Dustin Johnson when DJ three-putted from about 12 feet on the last hole. He then finished one shot out of that playoff at the Old Course in an attempt to become the first since Ben Hogan, 1953, to win the Masters, U.S. Open, and the Open in the same year. 2 years later, Jordan had his Open, and this was an epic. Leaking oil by 13, then he revved it to 220 and flew home in one of the best finishes we have seen in a long, long time. Well, before Jordan turned up the heat at Royal Birkdale, he chilled in Cabo with, among others, houses Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps. Interesting, he doesn't leap off the screen, off the floor like MJ, out of the water like Phelps, men who swallow huge swaths of sea, land, and air. But make no mistake, this Jordan absolutely rules as well. With more, let's welcome Todd Lewis. Todd?
Good evening to you, Rich. And if you look at what Jordan Spieth has done at the PGA Championship, it's been pretty much a mixed bag. Everything from a missed cut to nearly winning in 2015, finishing second to Jason Day. At the Open at Royal Birkdale in the Media Center with the claret jug beside him, he was asked about the emotions of chasing the career Grand Slam here at Quail Hollow. And today, he talked about it again, the internal and external pressures associated with this challenge, and he did so with confidence and comfort.
There will be pressure. This is a major championship. I mean, this is one of the 4 pivotal weeks of the year that we focus on. So there will certainly be pressure. I'm simply stating there won't be added expectations or pressure. How? I don't know. I don't feel it. It's not a burning desire to have to be the youngest to do something, you know, and that would be the only reason there would be added expectations. You know, the more years you go on playing PGAs, and if I don't win one in the next 10 years, then maybe there's added pressure then. And hopefully we don't have to have this conversation in 10 years. But if we do, then it might be a different. But I mean, it was only 2 weeks ago that I was able to get the third leg, and that's so fresh in my mind. I'm so happy about that I can't add pressure to this week. I'm free rolling, and it feels good. I'm about as kind of free and relaxed at a major that I think I've ever felt, maybe since Chambers Bay, arriving at Chambers Bay after the Masters, and just, you know, I almost like I've accomplished something so great this year that anything else that happens I can accept, and that takes that pressure expectation away. Now, you get in the heat of things, certainly that changes things, because I recognize where we are and what it would mean to win a major, not anything else other than that. And so getting into position this week, this is a very, very, very tough course. And it's one that, you know, I need to drive the ball better than I've been driving it to have a chance to win this week. And I've been working hard on it and seen some improvements. So as long as I can do that, then I should have a chance.
Jordan Spieth has played 36 holes here at Quail Hollow since arriving from Akron. He played 18 on Monday, 9 on Tuesday, and 9 today. He also worked on his game at the practice area here behind me at the putting green. I can tell you this, Rich, being around him and observing him, he has looked focused and, as he indicated, very relaxed. We'll see how this plays out beginning on Thursday.
free and relaxed. Todd Brand, I'll start with you. Why is Jordan Spieth in this position?
Well, first of all, he's the type of player that makes you look backwards for comparisons, but he's also the type of player that makes you look forward. And there's been very few that sustain that. Jack made us look at Bobby Jones, certainly. Tiger Woods made us look at Jack Nicklaus. Of course, they weren't alike. They were originals. Jordan Spieth is an original. Now, you can't really get him into focus. You try, and the closest you can get is Seve, and I'll tell you why. There's been 71 major championships played since 2000, and that guy right there, Jordan Spieth, has authored the very two worst driving weeks by a major championship winner. When you watch Seve Ballesteros play, and when you watch Jordan Spieth play, it demands the suspension of belief. It's thoroughly improper to win a major championship in such a way. I mean, you buckle up your seatbelts. Ben Hogan said the driver was the most important shot in golf. Jordan Spieth and Seve Ballesteros might say, no, not so much. It's a cocktail of emotions. You never know where these guys are going to go. When Seve won the 79 Open Championship on Tuesday of that week, he said, someday, if they play an Open with no fairways, I might win it. He only hit 9 fairways that week, and what's remarkable about that week is he only hit 1 fairway on the 3rd round, 1 fairway on the 4th round, missing them by 50, 60, and 100 yards. That shot by Jordan Spieth was about 100 yards offline, but just like Seve, he's a magician. Doesn't matter where you put him. He has this innate ability to match his body to the slope, figure out what's going on between the slope and the hole, and figure all that out, and then draw a picture that none of us can see. You know, they say, genius hits a target that nobody can see. Well, he couldn't see this target for sure, and he didn't even like it. But it set up this fabulous recovery. Yeah, okay, so they don't know where it's going. But my goodness, what an uphill climb it is for these two players after they hit their tee shots, and both of them ascended to the top of the mountain. Of course, this was the breakout win for Seve. And one of the advantages of straying from the fairway, besides the fact that you get to know the crowd and the rules officials, is that when you make these comebacks, you psychologically gut your opponent. Why was Seve such a great match play player? Because he hits it over there and you think, well, I got him. No, you don't. You don't got him. It's not a start of a tragedy. It's the start of a comedy. It's the start of the greatest show you've ever seen, and it's continuing from Seve. But Jordan Spieth's not like Seve. He's not like Tiger. He's exactly like Jordan Spieth. He's an original. Never seen anything like him.
David, how do you explain his success?
Yeah, I was having a discussion just the other day with my dad about Jordan. He asked me, how did he do that? How did he win? How did he win the Open? And I likened it to, and I think I mentioned it even last night, that, you know what, he might not have exactly that same mental fortitude Tiger Woods had, because that was something that the game has rarely seen. But he is certainly, I think, right now is the one that is closest to that. There's a force of will with him. There's a force of no give up. Once he gets out on the golf course and he recognizes that he's got to get the golf ball into the hole as quickly as possible. He's not worried about all the stuff. And we can sit here and break things down at the end of a day, at the end of a golf tournament, with stats and things of that nature. But the one stat that always matters and will always matter the most is what you shoot. And he has the ability to score. And that's kind of almost at times a lost art with all the technology. And we talk of distance, and you talk of TrackMan, you talk of launch angles, you talk of spin rates. Well, do you know how to score, though? Because if you don't know how to score, you're not going to succeed in professional golf, and he certainly knows how to do it.
You talk of Woods too, and his competitiveness. You know, that's why that streak of no miscuts, the ability to not quit, not give up, and I think that same competitiveness certainly exists in Jordan Spieth. There's no question he does it in a different way, but for 24, he's remarkably consistent in big events. You know, 7 top 5s, already a runner-up 3 times in major championships. We talk about the 3 wins, and like Woods, if we're going to use that analogy, he constantly puts himself in the middle of the storm, and that's the calmest place. That's a tough ability. You hear it in his press conference today. You heard it when he talked to the media the other day about putting pressure on other guys. He is not afraid to put himself in the middle. That's the calmest spot. That's what he did on the 13th hole. It might have taken him 30 minutes or 20 minutes to do that, but he had no problem putting him right in the middle of the heat.
Randall, you and I were talking about this earlier today, and we've done a lot of talking about Spieth. Everybody has, and there's a toughness to him. He reminds me of like a Joe Montana, Tom Brady. These were not first-round draft choices on the measurables, height and speed, but he's the guy. He's the quarterback. He's on on one knee, and everybody in the huddle is captivated by what he's saying. Team's down 5, 10 seconds left, and everyone believes that if you follow him, you're going to get the win. I mean, he just has that quality.
There is no way to measure belief, right? You got to believe this is the greatest. These are great athletes. Everybody here has belief. But I don't think that anybody has the type of belief that Jordan Spieth has in himself. Some of the players that he played with in junior golf, I know their parents. They're good friends of mine. And one of them said that he had more belief than anybody out there. And it was almost unjustified because he'd be on the range scrapping around. People would stop and listen to Emiliano Grillo hit golf balls. But Jordan Spieth would annihilate him in the golf tournament. And so, you know, when you have great belief in yourself, you can do things that you never would believe you could do. Federer said as much this year. Nobody would have guessed that at 35 he could win 2 slams, not even him at 35. But he said exactly that this year. He said, when you have belief, you never know. You can do things you never believed were possible.
Yeah, I think kind of to that point, in a way, is a perfect kind of window into his mind and into his calmness is what happened on that 13th hole at the Open.
Yeah.
Having the ability in these situations, in these major championships, to be calm, slow your mind down, pay attention to exactly what's happening at that moment, be ever present. I think that's one of the mental abilities as a great players all share. You've got to be able to stay right where you are and pay attention. He knows what's on the line, but he's also at that point and is a good example of slowing it down, paying attention. How do I get out of this? How do I figure this out? And I think that's one of those traits that, you know, is rarely seen in professional golf and professional sports.
And Frank, this is obviously as big a moment as we may see in quite some time. There's really no sense that he's not up to the moment. Doesn't mean he's going to win or is even the favorite, but he won't be scared, we don't believe, by this moment in time.
He has experience in that, even though he's 24, I think often we get caught up in the chronological age of an athlete. But you go back to 2015, he was on the precipice, and we talked about what he was about to do, which was win 3 straight major championships. Went to St. Andrews, the home of golf. I mean, that's where you're going to feel it.
Yeah,
he was 1 shot away from the playoffs.
Right.
And so if you needed evidence that he wasn't up for the task, or should I say to the contrary, it just blew your argument out of the water. Yeah, it's what makes this week compelling, because it is believable that he could go the distance, even though he has minimal experience on this golf course.
All right, 8:25 a.m. Eastern Time. Jordan is off of the 10th hole here at Quail Hollow. This is the traditional grouping of the winners of the previous 3 majors this year. It's Sergio Garcia won the Masters, Brooks Koepka winning the U.S. Open. A lot of eyeballs on that group early tomorrow morning. Still to come, Jordan Spieth was out of range on the 13th hole at Royal Birkdale. Where was he? The Open champion relives the bogey that has him in position to complete the career Grand Slam.
It caused me to drop the stress level, to kind of sit back and play a new tournament.
Plus, we pause to take in just what Hideki Matsuyama did at Firestone and consider if he can do it here. And Rory McIlroy lends not just his voice, but his heart to a story that you won't soon forget about a 14-year-old boy who was in a terrible car accident.
Hi, Trayden. Rory here. I hope you're feeling much better.
All that coming up live from the PGA Championship.